Welcome back to the Meet the College of Social Work faculty series. I'm joined today by Candice Morgan.
Hi.
Candice, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. I'm an assistant faculty here at the College of Social Work. I'm from South Carolina. I haven't lived here all my life, but I'm here now and enjoy living in this small town and working in this amazing college.
What is social work for you?
Oh, wow. First, it was, I think it saved me. I relate to students who come with this sort of feeling that they've found what they need to do with their life. Initially, I was a chef in New York City in my 20s, in the 70s and 80s. And my back went out. I also started reading for the first time in my life and decided I wanted to go to college. I went to college, got an undergraduate degree in biology, and then was like, what do you do? Took a year, did stipend volunteer work in Baltimore, and worked on a social services team at a healthcare for the homeless facility and fell in love with the profession. So I really found like my calling, my vocation. Later, throughout the years of practicing social work, it became a career, right, that supported my family, allowed me to feel like I was doing something meaningful. And then the transition from that to teaching full-time at the university was a rough one as well. Like I came here to the doctoral program in 2008, and I kept my foot in practice. And I kept being told, you're going to have to devote time to the dissertation, the research. And I kept my foot in the profession for as long as I possibly could. Eventually moved full-time, teaching as an adjunct, finishing my dissertation. And now social work gives me the opportunity as an educator to really inspire others to trudge through and get their degree and make this profession theirs. I also like to feel like their time here matters to them so much that they come back, and they do. I often hear from students. So now it's a way to connect with people that in a special way as an educator. Yeah. So it's been a lot of different things.
What drew you to social work rather than another profession?
Sure. Yeah. Again, coming out of that career, working in fast-paced, really fabulous kitchens in New York City in the 70s throughout the 80s, and not knowing, what to do after that, feeling kind of lost, I reflected on my roots. And that's where, like, if I read my essay to my MSW program that I applied and finished my MSW in, it's all about a grandmother who raised me in the upper part of the state, Spartanburg County. She gardened year-round. She had 4 seasons of gardens. We had extra produce all the time. And, of course, there were no farmers markets or food pantries up there at the time. But she was a Baptist Christian woman who sat me in the front seat of the car, and we drove throughout those rural counties and gave people food. My job was to make sure that the paper bags didn't topple over. And that taught me at a very early age that when you have something extra, share it. And then watch out for people who aren't as fortunate as you. And so that was really when I started to think, who am I as a person and what's meaningful to me? That's what drew me to social work, when I realized, oh, this is what social workers do. We do a lot more than that too, but
How do you balance ethical standards and personal values?
Man, that's a great question. That's a question that often comes up in classes in the program here. I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm a good fit for social work. I rarely find that my personal values don't align with social work values and principles. I understand and really respect when others don't have that fit. we read a paper in the final semester of the MSW program about personal and professional values and that alignment. And my understanding is that that's something that we contend with as social workers. But I've felt like, again, social work's a vocation. It's not, of course I had to learn skills and continually learn skills in order to teach what's relevant, but it's, and I would say social work from the functionalist school. Like I do know there's difference, diagnostic and functionalism, and so I like meeting people where they are. I love a non-knowing stance. I love the idea that the client's in charge. I also worked for almost 18 years as a social worker who diagnosed people. So that was never a conflict. Like both of those could live in the same person.
What do you do for self-care?
These are hard questions because you got me on the spot here. Not enough. I'll be honest with you. And I pay for it. So that's, if you're listening, you will have to cash that check eventually and pay that interest. These days, what I do is get with my adult kids. It's, I never knew how much I would miss them, right? Because they're in their 20s and yes, they're doing their life. But when I'm with them, that feeds me so well. I'm like a sourdough starter that keeps the fermentation.
This week in Social Work 201, we're talking about international social work. When we talk about international social work, what does that mean? And how is it different than social work that's done locally or nationally?
Yeah. Well, for me, it means, you usually have to have a passport or really good internet or an alarm clock to wake you up out of your time zone. And I've done a good bit of that. Passport, I flew to South Korea 9 summers for our MSW program there and learned about other countries having a code of ethics. Ours carries over, but it's not a good fit sometimes for different cultures. So I learned about the National Federation of International Social Workers. No, the Federation of International Social Workers, the FISW Code of Ethics. And I like to bring that up in class because I'm like, don't think that our Code of Ethics, the NASW Code of Ethics, applies in other places in the world. With respect to opportunity and also responsibility, I get back to this idea that, if a butterfly flaps its wings in the Andes, there's that butterfly effect. And I look at social work, we have to be very principled on how we practice social work in this country because it might have an impact around the globe. AI use in social work. One of the considerations that I talk about in a class is that, who's making AI for us? Who's producing this information? And it's sort of like back in the day, you wondered who made your clothes that you're wearing on your back. Was that in a safe and healthy environment? I also think that, because of our virtual world, you can work internationally as a social worker. I've done conferences from my desk upstairs in Hamilton at 9 p.m. for a conference in South Korea that started at 8 a.m. And did a presentation. And that felt like, okay, I didn't have to travel all of those hours, and I could still contribute in ways that are meaningful, right? Yeah.
So you brought this up that you were involved in some work with the college that was focused on building social work in Korea. Can you tell us about that?
Well, when I was a doctoral student, and I was trying to think this morning, the first year, I'm going to guess 2012 would have been the first year I went over. And essentially, our full-time MSW program there required people to travel from here to teach classes in the summer to MSW students there. And going over there, the nice part about it, it was 6 to 8 weeks, round trip flight, a per diem, a great place to stay, and engagement with a culture that felt like social work, I'm guessing in the progressive era in this country. Every time I went over, because it was a very new idea that there would be professional social workers there. And every time I went over, I felt like, wow, it's like these are the Jane Addams, these are the Mary Richmonds, these are the pioneers of social work. And that was incredible. And then it also changed my view of what the college's responsibility globally is. And it's very sad that program closed. I know that we've entertained ideas about having social work programs in other countries since that program closed. And I do feel like it is very much it should be a mission of this college to develop social work programs in places where social work doesn't even exist, because I do believe it's needed and it makes communities healthy. It makes countries stronger to have social workers.
What should social workers know or be prepared for if they're interested in doing international work?
Well, get a passport and make sure you have good internet. And again, if you don't travel, you'll probably have to do things after your bedtime or before the time you wake up because of time zones. The other thing is look for opportunity. And like I did, look for opportunity that not only pays you, but also gets you travel reimbursement, maybe homestays or something like that. Take advantage of the culture. I was always a little bit like sort of out of pocket, didn't have a lot of money, so I couldn't travel the region. And I regret that. But if you can travel the region, even if you're not working in a country, go to a nearby place and have a look around and make connections. One of the things I learned after going for a few years was that I needed to stay in contact with my colleagues that I worked with in the summer over those months when I wasn't there. It was meaningful. It made an impact on the working relationship. So I would be there a month and a half, 2 months, at one time almost 3, but those rest of the year months. So I learned to ask for people's addresses, not just their email addresses, but send a little gift or make sure that if they travel here, that they know they can stop by. It was maintaining those relationships, not just being a visitor, but being a friend as well was important.
Finally, what advice would you give to students who want to make a difference globally through their social work careers?
Be a good citizen here. Pay attention to the impact on people that you might not have direct contact with, the impact of the work you do here. On a state level, be an advocate for policy that sets great examples for how to deal with our social problems in this state. For example, child welfare, the safety and health of women, health and mental health access. I do believe that oftentimes we are looked to by others as setting examples, and sometimes I don't take opportunity to set really great examples for giving access to health care, especially to Black and brown women in this state. Set a good example is what I would try to do.
Thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome. It's
And-
been a pleasure.